We were wondering if Xabi Alonso's changes, which included leaving Vinícius Jr. on the bench for today's game, was a bit of a message that Real Madrid needed to pull up their stocks after what was a lackluster performance last week. Even though they still got the win, they got a 3-0 win here today. Let's welcome in our boy, Luis Garcia, as well, who's joining us. But Craig, let me come to you first for this one, because, again, you had your moments in this game where you were almost fighting sleep. It's not the Real Madrid performance you wanted. Usually it's Shaka fighting sleep, but Craig said, whoo!
Well, I'm not sure that was the game or whether it was just me. It might have been a bit of both.
You had to go for multiple snacks to stay away.
Too much chocolate. Real Madrid deserved the win. Clinical in the second half. Not flamboyant, not brilliant, but certainly good enough, as was touched on in commentary. Real Oviedo just limited, in terms of what they could offer, so had to do a lot of defending. Big story was Alexander-Arnold out, Vinícius Jr. out, Rodrigo in from the cold, the Antarctic almost, from where he was. What was that all about? And Vinny coming on, and Mbappe continuing the good start to the season, 3 goals now in the last 2 La Liga games. And Vinny coming on and having a bit of everything, having the dive, the assist, the goal, the anger, the sort of emotion, the frustration that, he was on the bench. And I think Xabi Alonso, when he goes home, will have a little smile about that and go, I got a reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, it was Real Oviedo. It was 20, 25 minutes, whatever it was, I can't remember. But I got a reaction. I didn't get a player who come on and sulked. I got a player who come on and made a difference. And I think that's what he was looking for. And before the game, we talked about the message that he may have been sending. And I think in some sense he got what he was looking for. If we can go back to the big talking point early on, was the challenge.
Yeah.
Some people see it from different scenarios. The one thing I would say in the Tchouaméni challenge on Dendoncker, it doesn't really matter now these days about how much you play of the ball. It's about the angle of your tackle. Now, it was more to stop the strikers at the time who were coming with the back to goal, get the ball to feet. It was to stop the big centre-halves coming through the back of them. And so that sense, we can debate how much of the ball he played and how much he didn't. But he definitely came back through the back of Dendoncker. There's no doubt about that. And that, by the letter of the law now, is outdated and should have been a free kick. The one thing I would say on the other side of it, had it somehow been an Oviedo challenge on Tchouaméni there and they had scored, we know what that scenario would have been.
Oh, yes.
It would have been everybody else's fault. And the referee's a disgrace, and we know what happened last year. So in some sense, bearing in mind it was David and Goliath, I have some sympathy there. Decision went against them. Didn't really affect the match in general, because Real Madrid deserved to win. But it was a talking point early on in the first half.
You say it didn't affect the match in general, but Oviedo, okay, they were second best.
I wouldn't have thought it.
No question. But
it was a breakthrough for Madrid.
It's 1-0 to the 83rd minute. Oviedo, to their credit, newly promoted, defending well, 80 minutes gone, you're 1 goal back, now you have to take some chances and push forward, which maybe they wouldn't have if it were 0-0. And again, I am not disputing that Real Madrid were easily the better of the two teams, but you've got to sympathise with the minnows here. Oviedo coming back into La Liga against Real Madrid, defending as well as they had. And then when they decide to take chances to try to pick back that goal, which I'm with Craig, I think should not have been allowed to stand. That's when they get found out, and that's when Real Madrid make easy work of it. So I sympathise with Oviedo and still feel that had that not been given, and again, we could speculate all we want, Oviedo would have made a better fist of the closing 10 minutes.
Luis, let's come to you now, because again, as the guy said, deserving win for Real Madrid, but still it left us with needing answers for a lot of questions.
Yes, of course, because we saw a good Real Madrid. I think that the first 45 minutes show us a very dynamic Real Madrid with a lot of players moving in the center of the field, with a good speed on the ball, with the men on the wide areas trying to be players, with Mbappe that never stood into the center of the field, trying to find their spaces, trying to make a mess and a lot of doubts into the defense. So it was very difficult to have an eye on him every single time. That's why he received in that great, fantastic position and made a fantastic goal. But it's true that in the second half we saw a totally different Real Madrid. I would like to think that is because Real Madrid didn't have a break during this season, if that makes any sense. They went to the Club World Cup, then they have to stop for a couple of weeks to have a little bit of rest, but they start very quick into the La Liga. So right now the player is still not maybe 100% fresh, and they have a very low in the second half, because definitely I think with the Real Oviedo making a little bit more of the game, having more the ball, pressing a little bit high on the field, make it a lot more difficult for Real Madrid. But we didn't see the same intensity of Real Madrid in the second half. So I will give that to Real Oviedo. I like what I saw from Real Madrid in the first 45. It was only one goal. The two other goals, they came with Real Oviedo open up and leave a lot more space behind. So you know that if you got Vinícius or Mbappe right there, you are going to be punished. And in the end, overall, a good result for Real Madrid. Of course, you need to continue fixing things. There is a new manager, new players. I think the life can change so much for a player. And I'm going to point today Arda Güler, that last year struggled so much to get minutes. In the last 3-4 games of the season, start playing in the center midfield. And right now is a key player for Xabi Alonso. So for all the players who normally don't get a lot of minutes, you never know what is going to happen when a new manager arrives. So I think a good 3 points for Real Madrid, and I'm sure that we are going to continue seeing better and better.
And I know that it's pretty clear that, Luis, that Xabi Alonso was sending some sort of message to Vinícius Jr, because Rodrigo's not really going to play much at all, if he's at Real Madrid by the end of the transfer window. That's debatable. Even if he is, Vinícius is going to play. What's your reading of the other big decision today? Carvajal and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, Alexander-Arnold played against Osasuna. Carvajal's fit again, and he got the nod today. What's your reading on that scenario?
Yes, I think it's another message that, of course, Alexander-Arnold is got a fantastic quality and abilities to have the ball and to look for fantastic passes. I thought that today would have been a very important player, because you know that you are going to be dominating the game. So having a player who can deliver good ball from the wide areas was going to be very important. Even his fantastic strike from long distance in teams that they are in a low block, I think that he suits a lot. But Xavi decided to give more minutes, and a lot of minutes, to Carvajal. He knows that he's going to need him. He needs to start giving. So he thought, okay, today we are going to have a lot of the ball, so I can give a lot of minutes to Carvajal. We are not going to struggle in good transitions, so Carvajal can have a very pleasant, we can call it this way, game. And it's minutes that Carvajal is going to need from now until maybe in December, a lot of those. And in these kind of games, it could be helpful. So I don't think that he's trying to make a big statement right there, but it was needed to give minutes to Carvajal.
Sounds like you've talked to Xabi Alonso and he's told you. that sounds like a manager's explanation to a big signing who has played one match and he's been dropped. That sounds like, listen, minutes. I need Danny Carvajal to get minutes. And you're fit, you're young, you're fit. He's in his 30s now. He was out for a year. I just need him. I'm not dropping you. I'm not even using the word drop.
Right.
But he needs minutes.
Saying that, to Luis's point, when I first saw the lineup, that's kind of what I thought. I thought, listen, okay, kind of the stop-start nature to Real Madrid's off-season because of the Club World Cup. You're playing against a newly promoted team. Now is an opportunity to give some players some rest, maybe have a little bit of rotation. So I was reluctant to read too much into it.
I like to read a lot into these things.
But to your point,
I'm happy to read a lot
to the point that you made, whether that was his intention or not, you got a reaction from Vinícius Jr. You absolutely got, when Vinícius Jr. is tracking back and pressing the ball and winning it and Real Madrid are scoring on a turnover, whether that was Xabi Alonso's intention at 2:30 this afternoon or whatever it was, he had to name the starting lineup, he got an absolute reaction out of it. Now we'll see whether he can get a similar reaction out of it.
But if you're Trent Alexander-Arnold, Shaq, whether the managers, we've all had these explanations. We've all had them. Manager comes in, he tries to soften some sort of blow and he paints a picture. But it's only natural as a player. You go home and you sit in your apartment or your house, whatever, and you sit and you go,
Did I get dropped?
Is he stringing me along or not?
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult scenario for a manager because a player goes home and he thinks about it. Well, I didn't play great in match day 1. It is a big move. There are still doubts about me defensively and how am I going to fit in and, where am I sitting here in the whole scheme of things? And so, for Alexander Arnold, no matter what the manager said to him, I think he will go home and think, well, it's a new club for me. Already I've seen myself left out for a very good player. What does that mean? I think the Rodrigo and the Vinícius one is much more. It's much more simplistic. It is get your finger out because I know you are a game changer and you can do a lot for me, but I need you on board. And we saw a glimpse of that. I'm just sort of painting a picture here. That was sort of towards the bench area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was almost like leave me out. Do it. So he has got that in him. He is a very emotional young man. We saw Rodrigo going off and he was showing his emotions as well. But when you are as talented and have won as much as Vinícius Jr has and you are a game changer, but your standards have slipped below what they were, and there's no doubt about that. Last season he was a shadow of the player from the year before, the player who thought he was wronged in not winning the Ballon d'Or. And sometimes a manager feels that he needs to light some firework to get you going. And I think we saw a little bit of that today. And I think from Vinícius as well, that was a little thing to Xabi Alonso. I'm sure as a manager, he won't really bat an eyelid about it.
Well, Luis, you're the only one here that actually does know Xabi Alonso on a personal level. As a manager, seeing that reaction from Vini Jr. and what he did when he came on, how would he be reading into it?
You would like to see a player reaction, of course, when you try to make a statement and when you try to put a finger in something that that it hurts, that is the pride of a player. But I have to say something. I don't think that that symbol, that sign that Vinícius Jr did, it wasn't to the bench. I think it was to the referee. I think the referee wanted to go to Vinícius Jr to say, don't go to the fans and try to complicate things. And Vinícius Jr turned around and say, just let me alone. What are you coming here to tell me something? That's the thing, the way that I saw it when he was, because the referee is right there in the same direction. And because he had that yellow card, that's the way that I'm thinking. Mbappe put the hands in the mouth because he didn't want to get him in trouble with another yellow card. So it's true that this is gonna bring a lot of controversy, a lot of headlines. But in my opinion, I think that what Vinícius did, he was just complain to the referee to tell him, let me alone because I'm enjoying right now.
Don't spoil a good story. Luis.
Luis, we were trying to add some little sal y pimienta to it.
No, but listen. Right, all right. It might have been the referee and it may not have been Xabi. Can we all agree he was angry?
He was angry.
He was angry.
He was at least bothered.
And,
yeah.
and look,
it's normal.
I don't care if it's the referee and I think actually on reflection, Luis is probably correct because he was frustrated from that booking. The angle wasn't really clear. I couldn't see the referee in the shot. But my point being is, even after 15, 20 minutes of being on the field, he still had that, whether it's the referee or the bench or an opponent or an assistant referee, he's got that sort of anger in him, hasn't he? He's got that. And as a player, when you get the best out of Vinícius Jr, and we've seen it on many occasions, is when that anger boils over and continues into a game where he starts, you very rarely see the best of him. When he can control it and he sort of harnesses that frustration in a good way and it doesn't boil over, that's when he's at his best. But whenever it gets, I say, too emotional, which we have seen, particularly in some of the Clásicos, when he gets too involved, he thinks every decision's against him, he thinks everything's just not going his way. That's when the opponent has him. That's when the Ronald Araujo's were playing him very well. That's when they had him. When his emotions sort of boiled over and it took him away from his sort of game head. The interesting thing this year will be whether he can get that game head back on and form this sort of relationship with Mbappe or whoever it is, because if they do that, then they could be a force certainly going forward. But again, it's down to the player and what he can do. But he was excellent when he came on today, and that's what the manager wanted.
Well, you know what Luis Garcia wants? He wants to chill and unwind with a nice glass of Spanish wine, Luis.
Does he ever finish a show?
Does he ever? It's It's late in Madrid. He wants to go and unwind.
Oh, boy.
He's living in the future.
Listen, nobody wants to go and unwind more than me.